Welcome to ATN Society Watch. This is a program where we ventilate societal issues, give them aggregate attention with a view to prefer solutions that will benefit humanity. Our topics for today, in Rivers State, hype man allegedly killed over fake bank transfer. In Delta State, police arrests man for assaulting a hearing impaired minor. In Ogun State, police arrest officers extorting money over missing girl. In Kano State, tomato markets closed over alleged immoral activities. We're open for advert placements, news and events coverage, personality, society and political interviews, product, service, promotion and also commercials. You can connect with us on all our ATN socials, Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network, on Instagram and TikTok, Atlantic TV Network 1, on Twitter, atlantictv.net. Watch us live on our website, www.atlantictelevision.network.tv. Our guest today is Mr. Nwabugo Ndubisi. He's a ghostwriter, entrepreneur, and social analyst. Good to have you, sir. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Welcome to the show today. It's a pleasure to have you on today's show. So we'll dive into the stories for today. Okay, so we'll go on a quick break, and then when we return, we go straight into the stories for today.
From the lines across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all the sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economic, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. Only on ATN.
Welcome back. In Rivers State, hype man allegedly killed over fake bank transfer. Tragic death of 34-year-old hype man Speech, also known as Horsefall Roland, has sparked public outrage and renewed calls for justice in Rivers State. Roland, who lived with his mother, Gloria George, in Port Harcourt, went missing on September 10, 2024, after informing her he was heading to a meeting around Peter Odili Road and GRA. Despite reassuring her during a late-night call that he was on his way home, Roland never returned. Around 5 a.m. the next morning, Roland called his mother, distressed, saying he was in the custody of kidnappers who demanded 30 million naira for his release. Desperate to save her son, George sent the money only to receive further ransom demands of 2.5 million. The family managed to raise 300,000, but despite the payment, Roland was found dead along Queen/King's Bakery Road, Abluma. In her statement to the police, George recounted receiving threatening voice notes and photos from the kidnappers. They warned us to act fast or consider him dead. We sent the money, but that was the last we heard of him, she said. The Rivers State Police Command arrested 5 suspects, including 23-year-old Endurance Thompson, who confessed to Roland's murder. Thompson alleged that Roland attempted to purchase drugs using fake bank alerts, sparking a violent altercation. He was owing me 150,000 naira when I realized the transfers were fake. I raised an alarm. He was beaten and later begged to be taken to the hospital. Unfortunately, he died in transit, Thompson stated. Thompson further disclosed that he and accomplices dumped Roland's body at Abluma Road. Police have since deposited the remains in a morgue and are pursuing additional suspects implicated in the crime. The incident has sparked outrage, with many calling for stricter security measures and justice for Roland. The George family continues to mourn their loss, urging authorities to ensure all perpetrators face the full weight of the law. SP Grace Irene Coco, spokesperson for the Rivers State Police Command, confirmed ongoing investigations, adding efforts are underway to apprehend all those involved in this heinous crime. Okay, so sir, I find this story very interesting because I could remember when the whole news of this young man's arrest was spreading around the city of Port Harcourt. But what I don't really understand is how, because from the story that we have, he went missing and for months he wasn't found, only for the suspect, the alleged killer, to now say that in the course of their transaction that the disease was owing him, and he did not pay him the money he was owing, and then he killed him and then dumped his body. And my question now is, for someone whose body was dumped for months and the police security did not have any idea about it while they were in search of this young man, I don't know, should we say that the security in Rivers State, especially here in our city, Port Harcourt, is doing well?
Well, we can't use the incident alone to judge whether they are doing well or not. When somebody's body, a dead person, is dumped somewhere,
yes,
there are many. Port Harcourt is big. River State is big.
Yeah.
They can dump somebody in this part of Port Harcourt for days, for months. With the police having knowledge of that.
Yes.
Well, what happens is that when you have a system where people don't want to collaborate with, people don't want to collaborate with the police force, it becomes a problem for them to execute their jobs well. Well, what they have to do is to try to have more personnel.
Okay.
I know if you take a look at when you watch American movies, you notice that not just the movie, in reality in America, you notice that anywhere a crime happens, doesn't take long before police arrives. The police people will arrive immediately within a short time. If you call somebody at midnight, not just in America or many parts of the world, if you call the police at midnight, it doesn't take time for them to arrive to solve the problem. So the Nigerian police force, they should try and step up their game. They are trying, but they need to do more to make sure that they execute their jobs perfectly, so that the swift actions, rapid response can save people's lives. When they intervene on time, when they arrive at the scene of any incident on time, they may be able to save a lot of people. So that is what they have to do to make sure that the lives and property of the state, of the country, are safe. So that's the main thing.
Okay. So from the story that we read, the deceased, according to the story that we read, called the mother at midnight and said that he was okay, and then later on by 5 a.m. the next day, he was said to be in the kidnappers' custody. And now the suspect who was arrested is now saying that the boy was kind of like owing, and then
it now shows that he was not a kidnapper. So the story is telling us now that the guy was not a kidnapper. I believe it's the duty of the police to determine whether the guy, the suspect himself, is a kidnapper or not.
Because I strongly believe that, because first of all, this incident took place for months.
Yes.
I think September, October, November, and this is December.
Yes.
The incident took place for months, and then I don't think the child or the deceased, the man who is late, would just call the parents and start demanding for such outrageous amount of money.
Yes.
If actually there wasn't a demand for such money, because you can't say someone is owing you 150,000 naira, and then the person now goes ahead to call the parents and demand for millions.
Yes.
Although we are not told how wealthy the parents are, so I don't know what do you think of that story?
In criminal justice, nobody is adjudged guilty until when the person is found guilty. So right now they are claiming that they are not kidnappers. But at the end of the day, we'll find out whether they are kidnappers or not. But with the evidence we have, somebody can rightly say that these people are kidnappers.
Yes,
and in fact, there is nothing they can use to justify themselves. If you are not a kidnapper, why did you take part in the killing, in the death of somebody, and you hid it?
Yes,
are you getting it? So you have already implicated yourself. So the justice system, the law should be carried out well in order to administer justice.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that, sir. So we'll move on to the next story. Delta State Police Command has arrested 22-year-old Ezekiel Elijah of Isoko South local government area in connection with the alleged defilement of a 13-year-old hearing impaired girl. The suspect is accused of luring the minor to his residence and exploiting her physical vulnerability. While Elijah admitted to knowing the victim was hearing impaired, he claimed ignorance of her age. The Delta State Police Command spokesperson SP Bright Edafe confirmed that the arrest and provided details of interrogation. During questioning, Elijah acknowledged the wrongfulness of his actions, stating he would be deeply saddened if such a crime were perpetrated against his own child. SP Edafe stated and also emphasized the critical distinction between rape and defilement, particularly in case involving minors. Rape is different from defilement. For defilement, the consent of the underage girl is immaterial, which means you can't say she's my girlfriend. But in this case, the 13-year-old girl he defiled is even physically impaired. He took advantage of the child, lured her to his room, and defiled her. May God help us, SP Edafe explained. He underscored that the victim's age renders any purported consent irrelevant and that Elijah constituted a clear exploitation of the girl's disability. The Delta State Police Command is conducting a thorough investigation into the incident. The suspect remains in custody pending further legal proceeding. Okay, so sir, this story is about a 13-year-old, just like we read, and the issue of rape and molestation, especially for little children within the ages of maybe 13, 16, 12, and all of that, I think is becoming a big problem in our society, because I find it difficult to understand why an adult would find a child interesting, especially in this case where the child cannot even, the child has hearing impairment. So I don't know, what do you think about the story?
Well, I believe we have heard so many stories,
yes,
where men, adults, defied children. Let's call them children.
Okay.
So it is so sad. I know that as human beings, we may be moved to do some things that sometimes we begin to wonder, was I the one that did this? You can see it in the reaction of the man himself. He later realized himself as if he was possessed. Sometimes people say that anybody that does this kind of thing must be possessed by an evil spirit.
Okay.
Because I cannot see the reason why an adult, an old man, can see a little child and get attracted and begin to have some feelings towards the child. If you have that kind of feelings, which adults do have, yes, you should be able to look for your fellow adults, and not a child that cannot even have anything to contribute in your pleasure seeking.
Yes.
So that's that. But the police, I think they will do justice to that, okay, so that it can serve as a deterrent for others. Yes. The fact is that so many people in our society have done this kind of thing and walked free. So if we hold people accountable, if crimes are brought to suspects in Nigeria, are brought to justice, this kind of suspects, people will be discouraged from doing that,
carrying out such practices.
It's not that when you see some societies that this kind of thing really happens, it's not that they are perfect human beings. It's because everybody has it at the back of his or her mind that if I do this, the law is going to catch up with me. Okay. So at the end of the day, you see people pulling themselves away from committing crimes. Okay. So the police force, they should do their job and make sure that justice is served.
You talked about being possessed and then later being remorseful about the acts that has been carried out. Do you think this has to do with spirituality? Do you think that people who carry out these acts, these indecent acts, are usually possessed, or it's just nature?
Well, I am not. How do I put it? I'm not a spiritual expert. Okay. You know, so I don't have any evidence to. Yeah. But what I believe is that something must have happened to the person's conscience
after the act or before
before the act.
Okay.
When people commit crimes, they harden their hearts. It's not that they don't know that what they are doing is bad, and their hearts have been hardened, and they think of the other way. What if I'm caught? What if I do this kind of thing and something bad happens? What if so people harden their hearts when they want to do bad, when they want to commit atrocities. They always harden their hearts. Even if there is a voice, in the spiritual sense, maybe a voice talking to you, the voice of God, or even your conscience talking to you, you always stifle that voice,
Yes.
so that you carry out your act. Then when you finish, you begin to ask yourself,
Yes, if you
what
did.
happened? Was
Yeah.
I the one that did this? You know, it happened. This kind of thing happens to us, happens to human beings every day. So I don't know whether human beings are just bestriding the spiritual and physical world. We are here. We are not. We are here and there. We don't. We are not. We are not fully here. We are not fully there. That we don't get when we are doing some things. We are not fully conscious of what we're doing.
Okay.
You want to kill somebody. You are killing someone. You know, just like anger. When you are when you are angry, you silence reason. You want to pour out yourself first. Then after doing that, you begin to what happened.
So you're saying that it's not necessarily about spirituality.
It's about controlled by emotions.
Okay.
We are controlled by feelings. Most of the things we do are driven by emotions.
Yeah.
So that is the problem that we human beings have. When we take this, even when we are taking this, that's why some people say, don't take a decision when you are angry.
When you're angry.
Are you getting it? And don't, when you are before a woman, you are feeling so. Don't make promises you cannot fulfill.
Yeah.
You know that is when people. Now after you have made your promises, after that, you know, after the. You know,
Yes.
He go deep, you know, you begin to realize yourself. So we are human. We have weaknesses, and I believe God understands that humans are fallible. Are you getting it? We have our human failings. God understands that we are weak in terms of doing what is right. But we need to, that's why it's good to have discipline. People that have discipline, it's not that they are perfect, it's not that they are extraordinary human beings. But from time to time, they ask themselves questions. If I do this, what benefits will I gain? Let me not do this. If I do this, I will fall into trouble. If I do this, God will punish me. That's why we say some people have fear of God. If I do this, God will get offended. Then in society, if I do this, the law will catch up with me.
Okay.
So you see people acting like normal human beings, like they are perfect, but human beings are not perfect. The fact is that people keep improving.
But sir, you know that when it comes to the issue of rape and abuse, most times it's usually found, you know, within or amongst the male gender. You barely hear cases where you say that a little boy was raped by a woman and all of that.
We rarely hear cases like that, but they are happening. Things like that happen.
It's not as
so many men today have stories of women defiling them.
So is it like they intentionally decide not to speak out?
Many men today were introduced into sex by women.
Okay.
Adam himself was introduced into sex by a woman. Are you getting it? So most times, so the fact is that we don't want to talk about it.
Okay,
most
so
times,
the male gender decides not to talk about it.
Because we are talking about defilement here.
Okay.
When you are introducing somebody, an underage person, into sex without the person's consent, and not even consent, because here this defilement, consent is not talked about. This person is not up to the age. So when you take a look at what happens, so you see that what happens in our society, you see that women too are involved. I've heard the story where a maid introduced, always teaching the boy,
yes.
trying to
Okay.
rouse, keep him aroused,
okay.
to begin to feel, until one day the guy now graduated to a level where he now wanted to enjoy it. So that is defilement.
Okay, sir. So why do you think the male gender intentionally decides not to talk about these things as often as the opposite sex?
Societies are not built to protect the male, the male child. I get it. Societies are built to protect the female child. That is the truth. Now, even what happens in the other day, we talked about domestic violence.
Yes.
In homes, in many homes,
yes,
both sides of domestic violence are happening. But what you often hear about is
that of
the female,
yes.
The violence against the female. That is what you often hear, because a man can hardly come out and say, my wife slapped me. My wife refused to give me this. My wife has been denying me this or that. Are you getting it? Even when they complain, they are complaining of what men complain about is the woman's character. We lay hold on character. She's not giving me peace.
Okay.
But society does not want to see this idea of women not giving men peace as violence. This is the greatest violence that is happening in many homes. But we don't want to talk about it because it looks like portraying men as weak. Are you getting it? No man wants to be called weak. You know that.
Okay. So in this case of rape, that has been a reoccurring act, especially in this our society, because yes. I've heard of it a lot of times in recent times. So what are the measures you think can be put in place to curtail these acts? Do you think, because I've heard people talk about, for example, people getting sex toys for themselves, like if there's a need for you to have sex with someone and you cannot meet anyone, you could go ahead and use a sex toy rather than raping someone.
No.
Do you think that would help?
It's not the best solution. It's not the solution.
As opposed to raping someone.
Everything starts with education.
Okay.
I remember when I was in school, when I was in primary school, secondary school, I was not introduced to sex education.
Okay.
And even most of our parents didn't teach us anything about sex. We learned all those things on the street. But when you start teaching young children about sex, what happens to their bodies as they grow up, what happens or what may happen when they get too intimate with, and the consequences. Anything, in this life, anything you do has consequences.
In this case, the person who raped or defiled this child is an adult. It's not even someone you need to start teaching about sex. So
now, this man himself, you can see that now anybody that has good upbringing will not do that kind of thing. So everything starts from training from childhood. Start teaching people morality. Let them know that they are humans. Some of the things that happen to them, most of the feelings they have, that all these things are normal as human beings. But this is the way to go about it. This is how to behave. This is how to avoid those things. And these are the things that may happen to you if you don't control yourself. You see that discipline, people will begin to know the value of discipline. Discipline does not mean that you are a saint. Mm-hmm. When Nelson Mandela came out of prison, he saw how people were celebrating him. He said, "I am not a saint, unless you think of a saint as someone who keeps on trying." So when you keep on trying, keep on improving as a human being, keep on being a good person, at the end of the day, people will say, ah, this person is a good person. Are you getting it? So, if we keep teaching children, let's keep teaching, keep talking, keep advising. Everybody needs advice. Everybody needs counseling. Don't say, if I teach this person this, the person will get exposed. Are you getting it? No, let the person, yes, for the first time, the person will be surprised. The person will be outraged. Are you getting it? But let them begin to know what they're supposed to know as human beings.
Okay.
And know how to behave, how to live their normal lives.
Okay, so for the last question on this topic, now that this act has been carried out, what level of punishment do you think should be given to people who molest and abuse children, especially in the case of rape?
There is a number of years to spend in prison for rape and for defilement, this kind of thing. So I think the justice system.
But do you think that that punishment will be enough to change people's perspective?
That's why where they spend their time, where they cool off after they are convicted, it's called correctional center. So I think after spending years in that kind of place, they will be corrected.
All right.
They will come out better human beings.
Okay, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
We'll move on to our next story. It says Ogun State Police Command is under scrutiny following allegations that officers demanded money from the family of a missing 7-year-old girl before taking action. The public relations officer for the Nigeria Police, Muyiwa Adejobi, confirmed the arrest of the officers involved in a statement shared on X.com. Adejobi described their action as inhuman, apathetic and unprofessional, adding that they are currently in detention and facing disciplinary action. The missing girl, the daughter of a point-of-sale operator, was reportedly kidnapped by a man believed to be a regular customer of her mother's business. The suspect allegedly bought food for the girl and sent her on an errand to buy water, during which she disappeared. When the distraught mother approached the police for help, she was allegedly asked to pay 10,000 naira to file the case and an additional 30,000 to track the suspect's phone number. Adejobi condemned the officer's behavior, assuring the public that the command is actively working on the case. The Ogun State Police Command has been on the case, and the girl will be found as soon as possible. We also urge the family of the victim to cooperate with the police, he stated. The incident has sparked widespread outrage, with many Nigerians calling for reforms in the police force and better protection for victims of crime. Critics argue that such extortion not only delays justice but also discourages victims from reporting crimes. The case highlights ongoing challenges in Nigeria's law enforcement system, particularly the need for accountability and professionalism. So, sir, this story, I've heard of cases where I already know that it's an existing law that a woman cannot go for bail, like a woman cannot go to bail someone if the person is being arrested in prison. I've heard that over time. Now, in this case of this missing child that the police is asking for a certain, facilitate the whole process, what do you think about it?
Well, it is wrong to ask for money from civilians to do your job.
File complaints.
I guess in it. So that is where they got it wrong. I think according to the command, they say they are working on serving punishment
to those who were involved,
to those officers. So, but this is Nigeria. Everybody that's in this country knows what is happening. I know that all of them are not the same, but this kind of thing happens. In fact, they are even doing more than that. All these things they do along the roads,
yes,
in Port Harcourt, everywhere, a bar, and so on and so forth. Is it what they are supposed to do? Is it their job? Is it the main reason why they were employed? The primary role of the Nigerian police force is to protect lives and property. They are there to enforce the law, to make sure that the ordinary people, ordinary citizens, do the right thing. But what you see along the road, along our roads, is quite different. And everybody should condemn it. So the police has to do something. The police force, they need to do something. They need to reform, just like somebody has suggested. They need to reform the system.
By giving them a reorientation of the whole...
orientate these people that this is, your job is a sensitive job. You don't do anyhow. You don't misbehave. You are serving the public. In fact, the eyes of the of the Nigerian masses are you. So whatever thing you do, you'll be held responsible. If you commit a crime, you will lose your job, you will lose your reputation, and you will tarnish the image of the police force. So when you give them this kind of orientation, I'm talking about the people that are already there. Give them the orientation they need. I know that they also give them orientation, but no human beings. After talking, they will see, just like a child you have in your house. After training your child can go out and do whatever he or she likes. But what happens is that during recruitment, I have suggested this thing many times. During recruitment, they should do what is called background check on anybody they are recruiting.
Yes.
Do a background check, conduct a background check on your prospective employee. What kind of person is this person? Does he have the inclination to steal? Does he have has he stolen before? Does he have a bad record in school? Because these are the places that people manifest themselves as children.
Yes, but sir, you know that, sorry to cut you, you know that nobody would want to go into any establishment and then decide to start stealing money from people, or, you know, going about it the wrong way. Could it be that these people, this police force, are, should I use the word underpaid? If they are not, do you think the government has a part to play?
Yeah, the government has a part to play. They need to be paid well. Pay them well. It's not just the police force, all the ministries, all the government institutions.
Yeah.
They need to pay the workers well. Then put them on the job. This is what you do. Give them high expectation. Anybody that fails to fulfill his or her
on part of
we get kicked out. That is how, or the person will be forced to resign. But here, people don't resign honorably.
Yes.
You know, they don't resign with dignity. They keep, even when they commit a crime, they keep staying on the job, because nothing will happen. But all these things, this kind of thing, needs to stop, so that we live in a better society. Because all these things they are doing, they are affecting our psyche. They are affecting our children. I've been a teacher. You know, when sometimes when I looked at my students, I see some of them, many of them that are talented. I begin to wonder the kind of society where these children would excel. You see, I would ask myself, is it this kind of society? Because I know that before they get to, even before they finish going to university, the system must have eroded them or choked their dreams. So we need to know that all these things that happen in our society, they will bounce back on the next generation. It will affect the next leaders we we claim we are training. So we need to lead by example. The police people, they need to do their job. We are not condemning them, but they need to step up. And they themselves, they know that there are some people that have bad records. So why keep retaining that kind of people? Anybody that fails to live up to expectations should be kicked out. Then bring somebody who wants to serve. I know that it's good you pay them well, but if you are looking for a place to make quick money, want to get rich overnight, it's not inside a government job. I guess in it. If you are somebody that has eyes on money, go into business. Just like we say in priesthood, if you know that you are not called by God, what you are looking at is money, go into business.
So are you saying that those who are in the force they shouldn't expect to be paid well to do or live well?
Yes,
because
they are supposed to live well. They are supposed to be
because
paid well.
I know it requires money to live.
Yes, they are supposed to be paid well. If you are paid well and want to start your own business, fine. But I'm talking about making quick money.
Okay.
Money does not at a spot. Riches, it doesn't come at once. It's something that takes time. You build it from time to time. You save money to live the kind of life you want to live. But it doesn't mean that if money comes in the right way at once, you should not take it. If somebody favors you with money, if a relative favors you with money, if you have a genuine business you can do, within a week you have made millions, you can do that kind of thing. But let it not contravene the law. Let it not bring pain to somebody else. So these are the things we should fight against in order to have a safe and prosperous society.
Thank you for that amazing contribution. So we'll take the last story for today. Say Garun Malam local government area of Kano State has indefinitely closed the Kwana Gafan tomato market, citing rampant immorality including prostitution, adultery and homosexuality allegedly taking place within its premises. The council's chairman, Aminu Kadawa, announced the decision, stating that all occupants were given a 7-day ultimatum to vacate the market or face legal consequences. The market has become a center for immoral activities, contrary to its intended purpose. This action is necessary to restore sanity, Kadawa said. Commissioner of Tourism and Management, Aisha Saji, supported the decision, revealing that during her tenure as Commissioner for Women Affairs, a raid on the market led to the arrest of 43 individuals. Among them were 34 females and 9 males, aged 15 to 18, detained for prostitution and illegal alcohol sales. Shockingly, Saji disclosed that 14 of the arrested individuals were confirmed HIV positive, with some unaware of their status. She noted that the suspects came from various states, including Kano, Adamawa, Anambra, and Taraba. Saji emphasized the need for long-term solutions, recommending the demolition of the market and its replacement with a skill acquisition center. This closure should not just end immoral activities, but also pave the way for youth empowerment, and also establishing a skill development center will address unemployment and equip youths with sustainable livelihoods, she stated. The local government has yet to announce a date for the market's reopening, pending steps to ensure its intended purpose is upheld. So, quick question, sir. This idea of shutting down the market just because people carry out some immoral practices, of course, which is expected in most places, do you think it's good enough?
Well,
like shutting down an entire market because of practices that you deem immoral?
The government, the state government, should know that it was not everybody in that market that was involved in prostitution. So, in the market will close a lot of businesses, and indirectly it will bite on the government. I believe the state government is making making money from the market. So closing the entire market shouldn't even have
come across his mind.
They shouldn't have seen it as a good idea. Now, what happened to the section of the market where the prostitution was happening? Or what happened to the main people? I believe in the market, the market women there, they knew the
such things
the prostitutes
carried out
and their customers. So they should have used them to get those people arrested and allow people doing joining businesses to continue doing their business.
Okay.
So that's that. But we need to know that we need to fight what is the root cause of prostitution in a country like Nigeria. What is the root cause? Now, you see that many of these women that are into prostitution, they come from indigent homes.
Indigent homes, yes.
So you solve the problem. Many of them are trying to survive. Many of them are trying to put food on their table. Even as I condemn prostitution, they themselves are trying to survive. You know, in Nigeria, just like many years ago, they used to preach, when they started preaching about self-employment.
Yeah.
Government preaching self-employment without empowerment. You are asking people to get self-employed without empowering them. So how do they raise the money? Many of them are not working. How do people raise money now to start their own businesses? You see that some people, if you don't have conscience, if you are not disciplined, if you are not coming from a good home, if you don't have good upbringing, you'll be forced to do something to raise money, to start a business,
or to at least
survive, to put food on your table. But what happens is that Nigerians need to know that you must not do something bad before you can survive. There are many genuine means of making money.
Okay.
There are many legal ways of surviving in a society.
All right.
Some people beg, even begging, even though I don't endorse it. Some people beg, instead of stealing. That's why sometimes I have to give. When I see the condition, I give. It's not that I'm endorsing it. For you to beg, you didn't want to steal. It's better than stealing.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I wish you could continue with this, but this is where we wrap it up on this episode of Atlantic Society Watch. Thank you very much once again, sir, for gracing us with your presence. Thank you very much. We are open for advert placements, news and events coverage, personality, society and political interviews, product, services, promotion questions. You can connect with us on all our ATN socials, Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network, Instagram and TikTok, Atlantic TV Network 1, Twitter, AtlanticTV.net, and then also watch us live on our website, www.atlanticnetwork.tv. Remember, peace and unity are the pathways to progress. Thank you for watching. I am Francis Necker.
from the lines across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains. Through the